I'd like to call to order the City Council meeting for the City of Highland Park, Illinois, September 25, 2025. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Center.
Present.
Councilmember Bruckman. Here. Councilmember Ross.
Here.
Councilmember Tapia.
Present.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Here.
Councilmember Bloomberg. Mayor Rotering.
Here, we have a quorum. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular City Council meeting held September 8th, 2025, and the closed session of the regular City Council meeting held on September 8th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. May I have a motion to approve the warrant list?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the warrant list? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Center.
Aye.
Councilmember Bruckman.
Aye.
Councilmember Ross.
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Aye.
Mayor Rotering.
Aye. 6 ayes, no nays. The warrant list is approved. The next item on our agenda, excuse me, is the report of the mayor. We have no appointments this evening. We do have several proclamations. For the past nearly 2 years, our community has paused at each city council meeting to remember those who've been held hostage in Gaza since October 7, 2023, and reiterate our support and our solidarity with their loved ones, especially those who are here in Highland Park. Tonight's first proclamation pays tribute to the memory of those whose lives were so brutally taken on that terrible day, honors the 48 people who are still held hostage, and denounces anti-Semitism and all acts of hate against our Jewish community. Whereas on October 7th, 2023, the Jewish people were subjected to a brutal terrorist attack that resulted in the murder of over 1,200 innocent lives, the abduction of 251 hostages into Gaza, thousands of injuries, and widespread trauma in Israel and around the world. And whereas October 7th, 2023 occurred on Simchat Torah, a sacred holiday that celebrates the resilience of the Jewish people. And whereas this assault marked the greatest single-day loss of Jewish life since the Holocaust. And whereas despite centuries of persecution, the Jewish people have endured with strength and resilience, values embodied in their continued celebration of life, community, and tradition. And whereas Jewish people across the globe continue to feel the deep impact of the October 7th attack. And whereas we solemnly remember its victims, and we recognize the enduring pain of families whose loved ones, including 2 Americans, remain held hostage in Gaza. And whereas the city of Highland Park is home to individuals, families, and congregations with deep ties to Israel, including those whose loved ones were directly impacted by the events of that day. And whereas Highland Park stands in unwavering solidarity with all those affected by violence and terror that began on October 7th and continues to reverberate throughout the region and the world, especially in our Jewish community. And whereas our community joins others in our region in denouncing anti-Semitism and all acts of hate and violence, while affirming our commitment to standing with and protecting our Jewish neighbors. Now, therefore, I, Nancy Rotering, Mayor of the City of Highland Park, do hereby proclaim October 7th, 2025 as a day of remembrance and solidarity with our Jewish community. Thank you. Please join us in a moment of reflection for all who have been so deeply impacted by the October 7th attacks in Israel. Thank you. Highland Park has shared this proclamation with other communities throughout our region, encouraging our neighbors to show their support for their Jewish residents and our continued solidarity with the victims of the October 7th attack. October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I'm wearing purple and several others are wearing purple to honor those who are impacted by domestic violence. People of all races, genders, and ages experience domestic and intimate partner violence. Reducing stigma and sharing information about resources and support systems is crucial to fostering an environment where people experiencing domestic violence can reach out for help. I'll now read that proclamation. Whereas domestic violence is a pattern of control in an intimate relationship where one person uses coercion and violence to gain power and control over his or her partner. And whereas domestic violence is a serious crime that affects people of all races, ages, genders, and income levels, Highland Park residents are not immune. And whereas according to the Center for Disease Control, nearly 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men will be a victim of domestic abuse at some point during their lifetime. And whereas too often children who grow up in violent homes have lifelong repercussions from emotional and physical trauma of experiencing or witnessing domestic violence. And whereas domestic violence costs the nation billions of dollars annually in medical expenses, police and court costs, shelters, foster care, sick leave, absenteeism, and non-productivity. And whereas a coordinated community effort will put a stop to this crime. Whereas it is important to recognize the subtle signs of domestic abuse, how to support someone in an abusive relationship, and find out where to get help if needed. And whereas Domestic Violence Awareness Month provides an opportunity for residents to learn more about preventing domestic violence and to show support for the numerous organizations and individuals who provide critical advocacy, services, and assistance to victims. And whereas Domestic Violence Awareness Month is represented by the color purple, like the Purple Heart Medal, the color is meant to be a symbol of peace, courage, survival, honor, and dedication to ending violence. Now, therefore, I, Nancy Rotary, Mayor of the City of Highland Park, and the City Council of Highland Park, do hereby proclaim October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month and urge residents to work together to eliminate domestic violence from our community. Numerous organizations in our community support those experiencing domestic violence, including A Safe Place, the North Suburban Legal Aid Clinic, the National Council of Jewish Women in Chicago North Shore, and Shalva, to name just a few. We'd also like to recognize the city's 3 social workers who provide critical support to our residents in a wide variety of areas throughout the year. Tonight, I'm so pleased to welcome Sally Steele, Director of Domestic Violence Law Practice at the North Suburban Legal Aid Clinic, to accept the proclamation and to share more about the clinic's services for individuals experiencing domestic violence and abuse. Sally?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Nice to see some of you again today. Again, I'm Sally Pisetsky-Steele from the North Suburban Legal Aid Clinic. NSLAC provides accessible, quality, equitable, free legal services in the areas of domestic violence, immigration, and housing. Let me share a story that highlights some of the work that we do and the importance of Domestic Violence Awareness Month coming up in October. One of our clients, a mother of 2, faced unimaginable hardship when her former partner physically, sexually, and emotionally abused her, ultimately putting her life in danger. To protect herself and her children, she fled her home state, and sought safety here in Illinois. With the support of our partner agencies, she was able to obtain an emergency order of protection and was then referred to NSLAC. At NSLAC, she received the free legal representation she needed to secure a 2-year plenary order of protection, ensuring her and her children's safety. Beyond the courtroom, however, our social workers helped her access critical resources to rebuild her life: housing, food, clothing, medical care, safety planning, and other essentials. Every step of the way, NSLAC and its amazing team stood with her, providing both the expertise and the compassion she needed to move forward in safety and hope. Right now, people you'd least expect are surviving domestic violence. The rates are too high to assume otherwise. For survivors, there's no peace or sanctuary. Their abuser, whether a partner, a parent, a roommate, or a classmate, makes them feel small, unloved, and unsafe. The abuse is relentless, sometimes a slow burn, sometimes life-threatening. When domestic violence turns deadly, the whole community mourns, but it could also be silent in some people's homes that we can never see. Domestic violence is everywhere, as you mentioned, Mayor, affecting all communities regardless of geography, socioeconomics, ethnicity, or religion. In the US, 20 people are physically abused by an intimate partner every minute. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We call it DVAM, a time to raise awareness about the nature of domestic violence, available services we have with all our community partners you mentioned, and its impact on families and communities. Victim advocates, allies, survivors, and communities come together to mourn lives lost to domestic violence and those currently suffering from it. Awareness should be raised not just this month, but every day, as abuse occurs constantly. Domestic violence impacts everyone in our community. The more we discuss it, the more we bring this epidemic out of the shadows. As a reminder, domestic violence includes physical, verbal, emotional, financial, or sexual behavior used to gain power and control over a person. Survivors may feel trapped due to financial dependence, self-blame, or lack of knowledge on how to escape. NSLAC offers a way out. Our trauma-informed attorneys, social workers, and staff provide confidential legal counsel, free representation, and compassionate support to help survivors achieve safety and independence. So let's truly see each other and connect more and recognize our shared humanity. Survivors of domestic violence endure constant struggles in the most sacred spaces and need us to start by seeing them. Thank you for your support, for recognizing Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and for helping to make our communities safer for all. As a reminder, help is available. For more information, you can call us at 847-737-4042 or visit nslegalaid.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I was going to give you.
This is my first time.
That's all right.
You've had a busy day.
And you did great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I do want to say something, which is that I was at a luncheon earlier today that the mayor was at, and Terry Cass, Horowitz Cass hosted, and you were one of the main speakers. And, you know, just thank you so much for the work that you do. And you spoke to how the toll that it takes on your staff to hear these stories day in and day out and live and breathe this. So, you know, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. In 1982, following a sharp increase in challenges to books in libraries, schools, and bookstores, the American Library Association launched Banned Books Week, a celebration of the freedom to read. 43 years later, we find ourselves in a similar situation where books and access to information, particularly those which speak to the experiences of people of color and LGBTQ+ people, are once again targets of challenges and book bans. Books are invitations to explore the perspectives and experiences of people different from ourselves, leading to a greater sense of empathy for others. Reading widely across different genres and by authors with whom we may disagree encourages us to think critically. The freedom to read is the freedom to think, and both, thankfully, are constitutionally protected. In October, we're proud to join our neighbors at the Highland Park Public Library and libraries across the nation in celebrating Banned Books Week and the freedom to read. I have a proclamation. Whereas the role of libraries is to collect and make available diverse works and information reflective of many perspectives and lived experiences. And whereas Highland Park Public Library, a component unit of the City of Highland Park, is committed to providing open access and allowing free inquiry without the approval of or advocacy for any topic or particular opinion. And whereas censorship is so 1984, read for your rights is the theme for Banned Books Week 2025. And whereas with the escalation and attempts to ban books in libraries, schools, and bookstores around the country, George Orwell's cautionary tale 1984 serves as a prescient warning about the dangers of censorship. This year's theme reminds us that the right to read belongs to all of us, that censorship has no place in contemporary society, and that we must defend our rights. And whereas these challenge programs and materials are often elevating the voices and viewpoints of historically marginalized peoples, and whereas efforts to provide equitable and diverse programs and material have in some communities been met with hate speech, protests, and threats. And whereas the library has a material selection policy process that is fair, deliberative, equitable, and accessible to the public that is executed by trained professionals. Now therefore, I, Nancy Rotary, Mayor of the City of Highland Park and the City Council of Highland Park, do hereby proclaim October 5 to October 11 as Banned Books Week 2025 and urge all residents to read challenged books and stand in solidarity with public libraries as they face renewed and unprecedented efforts to limit access to books and resources. It is absolutely my pleasure to introduce Highland Park Public Library Executive Director Heidi Smith to accept the proclamation and, if you'd like, to share a few words.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to the City Council for recognizing Banned Books Week. It is an annual celebration of our freedom to read, and I just want to add a few things. Apologies for anything that's redundant, but it's important, so I appreciate the time. Libraries are one of the few spaces where ideas of all kinds can coexist, allowing readers of all ages to explore, question, and learn without restriction. Banning books disproportionately affects underrepresented voices, as well as young readers, limiting access to diverse perspectives just as they are forming their own understanding of the world. Here in Highland Park, our library is committed to providing access to a wide range of materials so that all residents, regardless of age or background, can read, learn, and engage in meaningful dialogue. Through Banned Books Week, we affirm the right to seek ideas, even those that may be considered unorthodox or unpopular. Banned Books Week also draws attention to the consequences of censorship. When books are removed or restricted, it sends a chilling message that certain voices or ideas are less valuable, which undermines critical thinking and ultimately civic engagement. At the library, we will feature displays of books that have been challenged or banned in other libraries, along with resources about the impact of censorship. Again, by participating in this week, we celebrate our freedom to read, think critically, and engage with ideas openly, essential practices for democracy to thrive. For more information, please visit the American Library Association's website at bannedbooksweek.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, that is it for business from the mayor. Do we have any business from the council? Okay, thank you. City Manager Newkirk, will you please provide the staff report?
Great, thank you, Mayor. There are 14 items on the omnibus agenda. All are recommended for approval and all have associated detailed staff reports. I just want to highlight a couple of them. Number 4 pertains to the grocery tax. This repeals a previous ordinance that was approved by the City Council and includes updated language as recommended by the Illinois Department of Revenue and our Corporation Council. The 1% tax has a net zero impact. The state had eliminated the grocery tax and indicated that local municipalities could enact one if they so choose. So again, net zero impact, but very important for the city's budget. Item number 7 is the snow and ice control plan. So I know it's nice outside right now and people are wearing shorts, but it is going to snow soon. And so we encourage people to take a look at that. We're going to do extensive communication on it, but it's a comprehensive document that reflects our policies, procedure, communication for safe and efficient snow and ice control operations. And then item number 12 is an agreement with Williams Architects to provide architectural and engineering services as we conduct planning for the redevelopment of the Public Service Center as well as Fire Station 34 off of Half Day Road. Planning for this project is reflected in our 25 budget as well as 26 budget, and then construction is tentatively scheduled for 27. I do want to make an important note, and we've talked about it during the budget workshops, but very important is that the construction budget number is just a number. It is not based on any kind of site planning. So our recommendation is that we engage with professional contractors and go through that process. So Williams is recommended by our staff team. After a comprehensive request for qualification process, we received 12 respondents to that RFQ, conducted interviews, and they are recommended for approval. We felt that they had the best understanding of the project, experience of municipal operations, 24/7 emergency response environments, and extensive experience in public engagement. Do want to recognize Andy Dogan, managing principal from Williams Architect. They've also, as part of their team, put together, I think, 4 additional consultants that will be working with them as part of this important project. And I know this project is certainly important to the city council as well. I did talk to Councilmember Ross, who requested increased communication as we go through this planning process. So of course we will do that throughout this planning process. And then the second item, just want to share for public information, is we did post a packet today for a special meeting that will take place next Monday. That meeting will begin at 7 p.m. at the Moraine, so 1201 Park Avenue West. There are 2 items on that agenda, but most notably, and the reason for having it not at City Hall, is because it does pertain to the preliminary plan development for 1660 and 1700 Old Deerfield Road, commonly known as the former Solo Cup property. So again, 7 p.m. on Monday, and that comprehensive packet is posted to the city's website. That concludes our report.
Thank you, City Manager Newkirk. Assistant to the City Manager Pawlicka, if you could please introduce the next item on our agenda, which is business from the public.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item on the agenda is business from the public. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the City Council on a topic that is within the council's purview and jurisdiction, but is not listed in another location on the agenda. If you would like to speak about a matter that is listed on the agenda, we ask that you wait until the agenda item is called, and we will give you an opportunity to speak then. If your matter is on the omnibus consent agenda, please let us know if you would like us to remove that matter from the consolidated list so that you can speak about it. Please be aware that business from the public is not intended to be a forum for open dialogue or engagement with members of the City Council. Rather, it is intended as an opportunity to make comments to the City Council. Please do not expect a response from anyone tonight. If appropriate, questions may be directed to the city manager or other city staff. All comments should be directed to the City Council. All speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. We request that speakers refrain from throwing objects or using noisemakers, and that the public not applaud or make other comments after any speaker. We ask that everyone be respectful, civil, and non-repetitive.
Thank you so much. If you have comments from the public, I invite you to come to the podium. Please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kara Goldstone. I've got notes on my phone, so sorry I couldn't write them down on my notepad. So I'm a writer, and I just graduated from Lake Forest College and moved here in May. And I'd like to talk a little bit about an environmental issue I've noticed with bird collisions and what we can do to stop them. So birds, as many of you I'm sure know, don't have great vision, and they can't always process windows as windows. They just think it's more open sky, which means that birds are at high risk of crashing into windows, which is extremely dangerous and almost always results in immediate death, if not neurological damage that will eventually result in death. Even if you see a bird crash into a window and then fly away just fine, it still ends up dying eventually from the damage sustained in the impact. So in migration season, it's a very serious issue for birds because they travel into unfamiliar areas for long distances as they migrate. I am sorry to say that here in Highland Park, I have found a total of 5 collision-killed birds over the past 3 weeks, which aligns with the peak of our migration season. Tonight is actually the biggest night for it. 4 of them were migratory songbirds, and 1 was a hummingbird. I found all of them along Central Avenue and First Street, so it's clear to me that the taller buildings with larger windows downtown are the culprit. This is a solvable issue, and that's why I'm optimistic about bringing it to the council today and honored to be here. While the best solution is bird-safe glass, which is a specially made product many cities have adopted for the construction of tall buildings, it may be difficult to replace all the windows in downtown Highland Park that way. Thankfully, there are other solutions, and even though they aren't as consistently effective, something is better than nothing if it saves the life of an animal. The American Bird Conservancy has a full list of products and detailed resources for stopping birds from crashing into windows on their website. The simplest of these is to hang string curtains in any offending windows. You can even DIY this with thin stripes of painter's tape if you space it correctly. There are decals and films that help too, and even a citywide initiative just reminding people to turn off unnecessary lights in the evening and close curtains can help keep birds safe. In fact, we're lucky to have organizations nearby who can provide guidance for our specific area. The Chicago Bird Collision Monitors, for example, help the city of Evanston to create policy protecting birds. And I'm actually already in contact with the Lake County Audubon Society, who is happy to help. I know that Highland Park is a community that cares about each other. We uplift small businesses and help out folks who need it, and we've seen that here today. We should extend that care to the wildlife in our area by considering policy to bird-proof the windows downtown. It might seem insignificant, but birds can make a huge difference in helping at-risk species avoid eventual extinction and balance out the environment. And it certainly makes a difference to each bird that we save. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for coming this evening. I just want to point people to, on the city's website, there's a page called Preserving Our Natural Environment that has a full section on bird-friendly design, facts, what to do about existing buildings that may not be replacing their glass. But I want to thank you for coming and raising that issue.
Stephanie Kirch, resident. I know there is a special meeting coming up to discuss the Solo Cup project proposal, and I just want to say I appreciate the city council members that were there in addition to Councilman Ross during out all those meetings and listening to all the feedback that the commissioners were trying to give the applicant. I'm here to beg this body to take the time, who was not there, to listen to the comments from the public, go through all 6 meetings and listen to what the commissioners kept asking them to do, how they did, and how they ignored it. You can forward through some repeats but from the level of passion of people that they expressed away from that mic, it would curl your hair. A lot of people kept it cool at the microphone, but people are not cool about this. And it affects a very big portion of Highland Park and that whole side especially. Please understand, this is not some, another traffic complaint, blah, yada, yada. I'm not against housing or development or rentals, but I do worry about bad, uncreative design. And for now, I do ask, and I strongly urge all of you to really, really listen to the public safety concerns, the lack of public benefit, and especially the invasive, truculent behavior of the applicant. And indeed, if they will dismiss concerns and refuse meaningful improvements and drag out the process over 6 meetings, when in the last time they showed, lo and behold, they can actually make minor changes they had just said they absolutely could not. Watch them serve breadcrumbs and insist that it's a feast. And listen to the feedback again and again of the commissioners that were just ignored and resisted. And they also ignored and resisted anything that the concerns of, and they poo-pooed the concerns of the community. Just reading a distillation of comments and memos is interpreted by staff, as good as our staff is. They are simply not, it just simply will not convey the passionate concerns of the density and the public safety. There was a state police officer who said, I don't know if I can get to somebody in time with that kind of traffic. And be prepared, I hope, to push back and demand improvements before seriously considering any approvals. I don't need to remind you that you need to cheer for the interests of those that put you in those seats, not for the interests and the wishes of an applicant. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to be heard before we continue with our scheduled business? Okay, seeing none, we'll continue on. Items 1 through 14 have been grouped together for omnibus consideration. I am seeking a motion on items 1 through 14.
I'd like to pull number 10.
Okay,
And
and you'd like to pull 12?
yes, I emailed you that I'd like to pull
Right.
12.
So now I'm seeking a motion to approve items 1 through 9, 11, and then 13 and 14.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments on those items? Any from the public? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Center?
Aye.
Councilmember Brockman?
Aye.
Councilmember Ross?
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia?
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer?
Aye.
Mayor Rotering?
Aye, 6 ayes, no nays, items 1 through 9, item 11, and then items 13 and 14 have been approved. Item 10 is a resolution approving a First Amendment to the development agreement between the City of Highland Park and the HP Laurel Park LLC. Councilmember Littlewood.
The reason I pulled this is because this portion deals with the inclusionary housing plan. And while I reviewed it very carefully, and I think it's going to be a beautiful development, my problem is that each of the inclusionary units are significantly smaller than the other units. So while the surfaces are the same and all the touches for finishing the units are identical as they are required to be by law, these are significantly smaller apartments. And I think they're wonderful inclusionary units because for the most part, they're 3 bedrooms, which would enable families of a lower income range to be moving into this development and into Highland Park. The fact that they are so much smaller, even though they have the same finishes and one would not know that they are a subsidized unit, does bother me. And I did ask staff, and the city manager said that legally, the developers in compliance because while in fact they're smaller, they're not required to be the same size. They just have to have the same finishes. So I understand this this is in legal compliance, but it bothered me that they were so much smaller. And if the developer's here, I wanted, again, we're not talking about 100 feet. It's 1,200 square feet versus 1,700 square feet. So it was a significant, sizable difference. And if the developer's here, I'd like them to address that. And I do want to say that I think the fact that there are 3-bedroom apartments is really crucial to needy families to be able to come into this community and have that size structure. But it did bother me, and I don't know if there's any way to change it to ensure a slightly larger apartment for those families.
Thank you for noting that. And it's interesting, when we were first starting to have units incorporated into apartment buildings, there were no standards.
Right.
So hallways were counted, and stairs were counted, and rooms that really couldn't hold even a bed were counted. And so that's why those standards were at least created, a minimum within the code. I don't know if the applicant is here or if there's anybody. Yes, you are. Okay, if you could come forward,
Thank you very
please,
much.
and respond to Councilman Litter's, Councilmember Litter.
Good evening, Mark Karinsky, HKM Architects and Planners. As we told you, and as when we were working through inclusionary and all that, we tried really hard to work with them. We looked at your code, we exceed the standards of the code. For that building, we had an option to do 2 2-bedroom inclusionary and 2 3-bedroom. They asked us to do all 3-bedroom. In fact, we actually had a conversation and showed them one example where we gave them a 4-bedroom. So we really tried to work with them and said, what do you think your needs are for your community? So where we've ended up is we have although the code says you have to have a percentage, we exceed the minimum square footage. They are smaller than the other, but the idea of inclusionary is to try and find that balance of getting developers to build the inclusionary, have them the similar materials. Your code actually doesn't say that we have to have the same materials inside. We're saying we're doing the exact same materials and finishes and cabinets and all that inside. And then we are providing all 3-bedroom where the standard and the minimum. That may not be, I think our largest one is about 1,400 square feet. And the smaller one is 1,100 or 1,200 square feet. So, I would love to stand up here and say, hey, we will give all of the inclusionary the exact same size, but everything impacts everything on the project. So we really tried hard to work with the inclusionary board and say, what do you want? Because we actually gave them an option for a 4-bedroom. And they said, we actually like the layout, and we think the people that are coming and the 1,000 people that are on the waiting list really want, and they said, we really like the 3-bedroom layout more than the 4-bedroom.
Or a 2-bedroom, which would be a nice size apartment, but it would only be a 2-bedroom.
Right, and we gave all those options, and we had numerous meetings.
Are you talking about the Housing Authority?
Housing Commission.
Yes,
Housing Commission, okay.
you have a lot of commissions in your community.
Wonderful.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions on item 10? No? Okay, I'm seeking a motion to approve item 10.
Motion.
Second.
Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Center?
Aye.
Councilmember Bruckman?
Aye.
Councilmember Ross?
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia?
Aye.
Councilmember Littler?
Aye.
Mayor Rodering.
Aye. 6 ayes, no nays. Item 10 is approved. Thank you so much. Item 12 is a resolution approving an agreement with Williams Architects Incorporated for architectural and engineering services. Councilmember Ross.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I wanted to point out that in the packet that the packet said that 2 city staff members are architects. In fact, only one is. If you go to the Illinois licensing website, there's only one that is a licensed architect of the 2 that you mentioned to me yesterday.
2 have been trained, and 1, I guess, is currently licensed, as I understand.
Right, you can't call yourself a license. I mean, it's literally huge fines for for calling yourself.
So just for clarification, my apologies if that is incorrect. So we have, we have a wealth of experience on our staff. There are 2 people on the project team. One is a licensed architect. The other one
Went to school
practiced
for it.
architecture for 25 years and currently does not hold their license. But they did practice for 25 years
I'm
with,
just saying
as a
that
licensed
to
architect.
call it in the packet that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, my
you can't-
apologies
you
if it was
can't
wrong.
do that. There's literally fines and imprisonment as well.
Well, I did it. They didn't do it.
The packet, right.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
so
then-
let me go to the
Thank
meat
you.
of what I am talking about here. I want to and must apologize in advance to Williams Architects, who applied in good faith for the Public Works project and was told that staff was recommending them to council. However, City Council was not sent the complete list of architects who applied for this $17.5 million project until 24 hours ago, a little over 24 hours ago. We also didn't know we were voting on the architect until the packet was released a little over a week ago. And I contacted the city manager right away. But again, I didn't see the list, nor did the rest of council, of 12 names until yesterday. And literally the second I saw the list, I realized that among the other architecture firms not chosen are several considered by architects to be among the very best designers in Illinois and even the entire country, and some globally. And if council were to Google top architects in Illinois, they'd see these other architects on our list, names pop up every time. Having been through 2 searches for architecture firms for much larger projects than the Public Works building, including a $75-80 million project for District 112 to rebuild 2 middle schools, about $40 million each, I know the protocol and etiquette that I should not name these other architects in a public meeting unless they are selected. Given that this is a $17.5 million project, the biggest one the city has done or will do in a generation, I am not comfortable voting on a contract tonight. And I apologize again to Williams, who has done nothing wrong in this case, and in any case, and would reasonably have expected to be on a smooth ride to a nearly $20 million project. I do not want to vote yes or no until we on council are afforded the opportunity to do a deeper dive and understand the firms that applied and what our options are. I ask that council be allowed 2 weeks to a month to consider all options. We may then very well vote for Williams, but it would have been the best process. Again, this is the most expensive project for the city that it has done. If council is unwilling to take just a little more time, then I have to follow my colleague John Center's example last council meeting and vote present. Out of respect to Williams Architects, I do not want to vote nay because, again, they did nothing wrong here. They just followed our process. And speaking of process, I stated at a council meeting months ago when we voted on nearly $1 million in a kitchen build-out, but only learned about it a few days beforehand, that I may not vote for the next huge expenditure if we weren't given more heads up. Now we are committing to a project 10 times as large and hardly more heads up. We need better processes in the sense that we need information about $1 million projects as early as humanly possible. I do not believe we should be voting with only a week's notice on projects this expensive, or the architect's rather, selection process for a project this expensive. And let's be honest, with tariffs and other headwinds, this project will likely cost more than $17.5 million, although I realize that's just a placeholder number. And I do want to correct myself on something I told the city manager yesterday during my budget meeting. The contractor is very important. They troubleshoot, and the relationship between them and the architect is crucial. But anyway, that is what I'm asking. And I don't know if I put it in here, but that I did put it in there, that I'll state it again, we may ultimately vote for Williams, but it would have been the best process possible. And I'm asking, I don't know if there's support for it, but I'm asking for more time for us to review for council to review the options, the different architects that were listed, because I feel like I've had no time.
Thank you for that. City Manager Newkirk, maybe you want to talk about the process that was used and how projects of this sort usually move forward, what the council's role is versus the staff's role and the input that is received to make these decisions.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, absolutely. So as the council knows, we have been talking about the potential of this public facility project for several years. It is reflected in the budget for 25, 26 planning, 27 tentative construction. Again, I'll just emphasize the number in the budget is not based on any kind of site planning. So that's really the purpose of hiring an experienced architect engineering firm to guide us through that process. We drafted a request for qualifications, which was shared with the mayor and city council, so you can see what specifically that we were asking for of prospective respondents as part of this process. My apologies if I didn't share the responses to those RFQs with you. I know, for example, like the place of remembrance, the council was very clear in terms of we want to know every update as part of that process, and so we have been doing that as part of the place of remembrance. I'm happy to do that from this point forward as part of this project, but we are on an aggressive timeline if we want to meet these, the schedule moving forward. I will say that as part of our process, we put together as a staff a comprehensive team as a project of this nature. So this project is being spearheaded by Chief Schragi as our point person. He did an outstanding job serving as the project lead for the fire station project for 32 in the Ravinia station. Interestingly enough, actually Williams was the architect for that project, and we were very satisfied with their work. So that RFQ was issued in April. Council received that when it was issued. We received 12 responses to the RFQ. We offered site tours of the facility. We had comprehensive interview questions. We posted a Q&A on our website. We reviewed all submittals as part of that. And then conducted interviews. And although I will say every single respondent was extremely well qualified, very well qualified, it was important for us to make sure that, one, they understood the scope of this project. Another important factor, and you can see the objectives that's set forth in the staff report. It was important for us that they have experience in specifically, not necessarily, public service center is public works as well as community development, but to have experience with public works facilities as well as fire station facilities is something that is of utmost importance. So there may be a firm, and actually there were several firms that did not meet what we were looking for in terms of those two project areas. To design for a fire station is very unique. They need to understand how we operate, how quickly we have to move, the fact that we're a 24/7 operation, very similar to public works, a 24/7 operation that has transit and sewer and water and forestry and everything else that we do is not typical. The other aspect is having familiarity with a public service entity, to be familiar with public purchasing policies, to be familiar with public engagement. We have worked with contractors that have not had that experience, that have had eye-opening experiences, just given the amount of transparency and public engagement that we do. And so that was another important element as part of the selection process. So again, we followed what we have historically done. We have a comprehensive staff team that's made up of experienced professionals. We did a thorough process. We are making a recommendation for your consideration this evening.
I want to respond to that a little bit, which is that I think that every architect, I'm sure, understood the scope of the project. All of the architects, that at least the ones I was familiar with, are excellent at engagement, public engagement. I mean, all of the pieces that you spoke about, I think there are many who could do that exceptionally. And I feel like it's a reasonable request that there be a little more time to consider this for council, but also that, we're routinely given really big projects to vote on in terms of dollar amounts that with very little, heads up, big decisions that we only see are on the agenda, in the packet when the public sees it, or maybe a little bit before that, but hardly any time to consider it. And I don't, it is my concern with process in general, especially around multi-million-dollar projects. And I'm asking if it is unreasonable to look, push this to the next meeting to allow council, to look at you did share the list of architects yesterday, and to look at that.
Councilmember Tapia.
Yeah, some questions for the city manager. You said that Williams did Fire Station 32 in Ravinia. Can you talk about what that process was like, working with the city, them staying to the budget, and the quality of the fire station, given the high expectations we had to really make that a state-of-the-art fire station? How did they deliver?
Exceptional, yeah, and had they not, we would not be recommended this evening. And we have worked with other architectural firms, so I just don't want you to think that, this is the only architect that we have worked with. So again, very similar. The selection of that architectural firm was done based on a project team. We followed pretty much the exact same process. We shared their RFP with the city council. Staff conducted the interviews. We made a recommendation to the city council. And then after we have a selected architect that we're working with, we have a project kickoff meeting. And so we have a core team of staff that works with the architect. The next step as part of this process is to do an RFP and hire a construction manager. And so that construction manager works hand in hand with the architect. They both report to the city. And then we have a staff project team. That project team, we have weekly construction meetings that take place throughout the project. And then we bring in additional staff as warranted as different things come up. And I would say Williams was exceptional. They were terrific on the public engagement side. They certainly understand, fire response and fire design, because I will say it is unique. And again, I would just really compliment their entire team.
Yeah. And the ultimate outcome, how does the fire chief and the ones that have to serve our city from there, how have they felt about what was delivered for the needs of them as well as the public safety?
Well, if it's okay, I'll defer to the chief, yeah.
Fire Chief Joe Schrage, thank you for the honor to speak. The one thing I would add is to that is we also included people from every level of our organization as a building committee to give feedback through every step of the design. We toured many other fire stations to really understand their operations and even looked at our times to see, how can we get to the rigs faster? How can we speed up our response to the community? So it's very complex. But at the same time, the integration and the ability to work with the architect on every step of the detail is very important. Our personnel are super happy with our building. They're incredible. That's been one of the biggest morale kicks that we've ever received. And I can tell you that it's worked out well. The building is operating well. We're not seeing any significant problems, and we have no regrets.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking that question. I remember when you gave the tour with the ribbon cutting and just the input from the various members of the fire department saying, we asked for this particular room to be here so that we didn't have PFAS-covered uniforms and gear coming into our living space, and this specific shower place and this storage. And it was really fascinating to hear all the thought that not only went into it, but that was incorporated from our firefighters in the actual product. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Center and then Councilmember Little.
Thank you. Yeah, Councilmember Ross, first of all, I do appreciate you challenging the process. I think that's healthy for us to continuously do. And probably, good for a macro level discussion at another time as it relates to all kinds of things that we make decisions on to make sure that we're comfortable with getting the right level of visibility. And I appreciate City Manager Newkirk for taking us through what that process is, and then having the chief and others sort of comment around exactly the decision-making process that went down as it relates to this specific RFQ. And I think it's very clear that a lot of thought and good consideration went into the process, not to mention the fact that, we've got a repeat applicant who has exhibited a strong ability to deliver. So I, again, appreciate the comments, appreciate the concern. I think we should continue to have that level of rigor and skepticism as we think through things. But for me personally, I am satisfied with what I heard with the level of questioning and commentary here to continue to move forward.
Councilmember Lidwar?
So I'm also very grateful to Councilmember Ross because I don't know the various groups that were listed, but it seems to be quite an amazing group that petitioned or that put in an application. So I'm very grateful to know who that was. So I see that the process was quite rigorous. But having been involved in projects that the school district built that were enormous, I have to say there's no better qualifier than a previous experience. And I was not aware that Williams had done our fire station prior. And if there's no greater endorsement to me than being able to see the product firsthand, as well as know that they were able to work with our staff and with the actual end users. And I think that that's really significant. You can interview the 12 most amazing people in the world, but until you see their work firsthand, which we are fortunate enough to have, that to me is the best credential. So I'm satisfied. I just didn't realize that they were the ones. So thank you for your earlier work.
Thank you. Councilmember Brookman?
Thank you. I just want to first say thank you, Councilmember Ross, for bringing this up to our attention and to have that eye for design to help us all up here. Also, though, to Williams, I mean, the fire station is phenomenal, and just the fact that the police department is thrilled with the work, and they got to work side by side with you is very promising. And I think the work that the city is doing on this with who's involved with picking Williams, I feel comfortable with moving forward with this. So thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to make, the process you described, I would really guarantee you that any architect would have done that level of, well, any of these very fine architects that I'm referring to would have done that level of engagement with staff and the fire department to do that. And I think, I was, liaison for 2 years to the Park District. I saw their processes. I was on school board, 112 school board, when we did 2 different architect, searches for far larger dollar amounts. And I think that what I was struck by the difference is that the level of information that the elected bodies got was just greater than what we've gotten in terms of communication. According to the packet you met, you interviewed the architect, I think back in July or something. And it would have been great to know that then, and to know the list of 12 then, and to have opportunity to get more comfortable with the selection rather than 24 hours ago. And I appreciate all my colleagues' comments. I still feel the way I do that this deserves more time. And I say this with all respect to Williams as an architecture firm, and I thank Williams for their service to the city in building that fire department, which the fire department clearly loves. I hope this won't be taken as I stated an apology 3 times in my comments because I feel that this has nothing to do with, Williams themselves. It has to do with our process. And, I had to speak up.
No, and Mayor, if I could, Councilmember Ross, I appreciate it. I didn't know that, and I don't know if it's just you or everybody, I didn't know you were interested in that level of detail. So if you are, we have RFPs. If you look at our website, we have RFPs that are issued regularly. So I understand you're interested in this design. I heard you, we had a conversation about it. I can provide you weekly updates if you like, whatever frequency that you like.
Well, we
Yeah.
can talk about the level of frequency, but some level of engagement with us rather than, for a week before to say that we've selected the architect.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and yeah.
I think there's just a huge, you're describing something that's, maybe excessive. Weekly updates aren't necessary, but, monthly, I don't know. Or just some level of update between
Yeah.
then and
Traditionally,
now.
this had been acceptable to the council, but I hear you loud and clear that you're interested in more regular updates as we go through a process. Absolutely, no problem.
Thank you for this discussion and for everybody's thoughtful insights. I'm hearing support for item 12, but I certainly recognize if you would like to make a motion to delay, that's your right.
Well, it's clearly not going to pass, so,
But I didn't
Yeah.
want to,
and I'm
Take that
comfortable just voting present on this.
okay, thank you. So I'm
I
seeking
mean,
a motion to.
All right, well, I'm told that I should make a motion for just 2 weeks more until the next council meeting to have a better look at what the options were that the city looked at.
Thank you. Is there a second? Okay,
Yeah.
well, thank you for that motion. I'm seeking a motion to approve item 12.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on item 12? Any from the public? Hearing none, will the clerk call the vote?
Councilmember Center?
Aye.
Councilmember Brockman?
Aye.
Councilmember Ross?
Present.
Councilmember Tapia?
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer?
Aye.
Mayor Rotering?
Aye. 5 ayes, no nays, 1 present. Item 12 is approved. Thank you so much. With that, I'm seeking a motion to adjourn because we're going to do closed session as a continuation of our committee of the whole, which we have recessed from. So I'm seeking a motion to adjourn this city council meeting.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned. We're coming back from our recess. Do we need to call roll again?
Yes.
All right, so we are reconvening the Committee of the Whole for the City of Highland Park, September 25th, 2025. Will clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Center.
Present.
Councilmember Brockman. Here. Councilmember Ross. Here. Councilmember Tapia. Present. Councilmember Littler. Here. Mayor Rotary.
Here, we have a quorum. We are, as we noted, going to continue the conversation on special events in a future meeting, not too long from now. So with that, we're going to now turn to council feedback being requested regarding the City and Park District 2026 Independence Day programming and associated timing. Go ahead, Eda Newkirk and Aaron Jason.
Great, thank you, Mayor. So again, there is a staff report in the packet for this continued committee of the whole. We are seeking your policy feedback as it pertains to various components of our Independence Day events. We have different options that we are going to present for your formal consideration. I do want to say that our partner in coordinating Independence Day is the Park District of Highland Park. Although they have some signature events and we do work collectively together overall. And so we'll continue to stay in communication with them. We have a PowerPoint that Assistant Manager Jason will go through in a moment. And again, just looking for your feedback, which is important because again, we start planning for 26 like now, this quarter. So thank you with that. Yeah.
Great, thank you. I want to start off talking just really quick overview of the key elements to keep in mind. Ordinarily, when I'm up here giving you a presentation, or my colleagues, we usually go through a little bit of a history, right? Here's what we're here, blah, blah, blah. I gave you what I called like my Independence Day manifesto in a report. So all that history is in there. I don't want to beleaguer that right now. I just want to ask you to just keep in mind, how did we get here? How did we get to this point? Please keep in mind that need to avoid a full day long slate of events, that safety and security, staffing levels, infrastructure needs, they play a role in what we're presenting. We've taken a trauma-informed approach as we've done every year since 2022. We also talk about environmental impacts in the report quite a bit on some of the items. We do have an ability to reevaluate this year over year if we'd like to, so nothing we decide is forever. And then Park District activities are outside of our purview. We can discuss though the timing and the location in terms of our coordination with them. So I'm just going to jump right in. We've got 7 different policy items to talk about. What I'd like to do, Mayor, a little bit different than what I usually ask, is this one, take it one by one through. The only one that's got component pieces is number 4, where I'm going to review 4 different sections of question 4, and then we'll talk about 4 as a whole again. So first up is the remembrance ceremony. Speaking on behalf of all the great information that Assistant City Manager Taub put together based on the resiliency team. So our recommendation is to continue doing remembrance events. I'm going to keep doing them right now until the opening of a permanent place of remembrance. You may recall over past year's discussions that best practices are to phase the remembrance ceremonies out. We feel until the permanent place of remembrance is settled down, built, and operational for people to have their own moments there, that we should continue to have these remembrance ceremonies on the 4th, though just as we've done year over year, kind of continue to scale it back and just keep it inside, indoors, keep it where you have to pre-register and just kind of keep moving through. We would suggest for next year, keeping it at the Moraine, keeping the timeline similar to this year.
Have we talked to next of kin, present and injured, to assess what their thoughts are? I know some have said to me, can we pivot to a day of community service? Others I know appreciate it, and I'm just curious to know if we've kind of surveyed those most acutely impacted by the date.
I'm going to defer to Emily, but we need to come closer to the mics.
Yes, we have. So we have reached out to many of the victims. We haven't spoken to everyone, but majority feedback was actually that most choose to avoid the 4th of July related events, and therefore just don't have an opinion on how we move forward on this. That was the large majority. Others, the smaller groups, do have very vocal feedback and in multiple directions. We are hearing some.
So there's no real consensus?
There's no real consensus. The largest group by far is avoiding the events. The others, there's very vocal that want to move to, that want things to resume as they were. There are some that want an entirely different slate and some that want community service. I would say there's kind of in those three groupings,
Okay.
but they're all very small as far as feedback that we're
And
hearing.
have we talked to the Office of Victims of Crime and gotten their input? Because obviously they work with other communities who've had similar mass violence events and can maybe provide their sort of wisdom over the years.
We've gotten feedback from them, as well as we've had very in-depth discussions with Dr. Reinhold at the National Mass Violence Center, and she's been guiding us through this process, I would say, a little bit more closely than the Office of Victims of Crime, so we have talked with them. And their feedback is truly every community is different, and there is no one right way as to know your community. Some have continued with large-scale events up to 10 years past, others moved within 3 years, have phased out everything. So there really isn't a consistent answer, unfortunately. It's just talk to the impacted and make your best decision.
Annette?
I was thinking that I really like the way you've approached this, and I'm glad to hear you contacted people. I thought last year's event was lovely, but I was shocked at the attendance. And now when I see the numbers.
Shocked at how few or?
How few.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you counted, and frankly, I view us as members of the community, so if you counted staff and elected officials and everybody else who came in, it looked like a big crowd. But once you got beyond that, it was 50 people. And because of that, I think it would be really, in a way, and I don't want to use, I'm going to use the word Hamish, which means warm and cozy. I think it would be lovely to have the ceremony, but to have it at City Hall. And the reason I think it'd be nice to have it here is because this is right next to where the remembrance is going to be. And so we're already bringing people back to where they're going to be in order to, in their own way or on that day, to honor and memorialize people. So because the numbers are smaller, rather than taking people out to the moraine, even though it's lovely, I don't mean it in a bad way, I just think, frankly, it's easier for people. It's something more that they know. They can look right outside, and you have even the temporary right here. And yet it's indoors, it's upstairs. We can open the extra room if we need it.
You don't think it'd be triggering to see a bunch of people getting ready to start a parade if we do continue with the parade outside?
Well, assuming, that's the whole thing. I think that if we, and that goes to timing. So if the event starts, say at 9:30, you have poems, you have things that people want to do and say. We're all together at the 10:16 moment or whatever moment for a final closing. And if the parade is at 11, that gives people enough time to leave if they want to leave, stay if they want to stay. But I really think it's essential to get people used to the fact that this is where we're going to memorialize it. And rather than it looking like a big empty hall where all the electeds are kind of, saying, oh God, I'm so sorry, I'd rather keep it in town. So that's just my gut.
No, I appreciate it.
But that's the time frame I would see, and I think that's how we can keep it family-oriented.
Andres?
Yeah, I don't know about City Hall or not, because that's a good, I like the City Hall idea, except once you mentioned that people are going to be setting up, everybody's going to be setting up for the parade out there, so I don't know. But there's nothing, it would be sad to have a big room and have it not filled.
Right.
Right, it just is the wrong, but if it's cozy, what's that word you said?
Hamish.
I had the word Hamish. Hamish, did I do that right?
Hamish, you did actually, much better than what did you say?
I like the Hamish concept. I like that. It's whatever that means, right? I mean, where should we have it? But I think that's a principle that I like. That we look for something like that.
And I know this sounds horrible, but because it's not about cost, but I think that keeping it here, we have the best control in terms of police, security, and everything else, because we've kind of faced this on a very small level. So we can keep it. I don't know. I think it's time to move it. I really do.
Yumi?
I like the idea. And I guess if it, I was just wondering about rain, but if it's raining on the parade, you just have to ask yourself, who are we doing this for? There was practically nobody there. And, I mean, I happen to know.
I'm going to ask Michael. who
Well, I was just
usually
about
we
to
don't
turn to
talk to people
Michael.
during
He
the
said
the whole, but
his
you're here.
family was 10% of.
You were, yeah.
Of the
Attendees.
attendance, and they don't, well, you can speak for yourself.
I'm happy to speak if you want me to speak.
Yeah.
So,
We're breaking with protocol, don't tell anybody.
I did speak to, a couple family members during the holidays or whatever, and Bruce, basically said to me he's kind of over the whole remembrance thing. Just to put it in perspective. I didn't speak to everybody because it wasn't necessarily the right time
Right.
to do it. but,
Right.
Wait till him keep words.
Wait, what? So, we did talk about a lot of this stuff at these things, but he's kind of over the remembrance thing. I'm kind of over it. I really didn't speak to everybody else. We definitely had different opinions about everything you're speaking about, and that's why I'm here. Just to kind of hear everything and kind of report back to everybody. So I'm happy to say as much as you'd like me to say or as little.
I'll
based
keep
on
calling
the
on
focus.
you, but,
Okay, great.
yeah, no, but thank you, because I'm thinking about who was in that room, and it was mainly you guys
Yeah.
and us,
Right.
and then a handful of other.
And like I said, I'm happy to talk to the rest of my family and report back to you if that would help.
That'd be helpful.
But Bruce really was like, I don't really care anymore.
Okay, that's
time to-"
interesting.
And he's very opinionated about a lot of
Right.
these topics.
Right,
which
so
I'm
that's,
sure-
that's why I'm curious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Happy to.
Yeah.
So we hear you in terms of cozy, especially if we don't have a large RSVP. Our suggestion that if we want a smaller room, that we still do it at either the Moraine or we could look at an alternate location. We set up emergency operations in this building
So we
for
don't
all the
wanna be
events that are taking
doing
place.
that.
So we could look at one of the East or West rooms at the Moraine. We could look at the community house. I mean, there are other locations that we could look at.
Or there's the option of we don't have a
We don't
remembrance
do it.
ceremony.
Or we don't do
We
it.
just say,
The
it's
only
been
reason I-
1,000 days and we're, whatever.
Yeah.
The only reason I thought to maybe still do it is since we don't have a permanent memorial.
Right.
But if the people directly involved, don't see it.
Are seeing it as an obligation and not a comfort, then it's.
Or maybe we offer to have some clergy in the garden at 10 a.m. and anyone who wants to come. But I don't know how that deals with
I
security.
feel like based on what we have been seeing, that if we do it again, we're not gonna see anybody but ourselves at
Yeah.
this.
Well, I don't think doing it at the Moraine, if there's even a
I don't
chance of
either.
that, I think that's a really bad decision.
We're
to make.
expending staff, police, I mean,
Well, more to the point of, are we helping anybody?
We're not.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was just the other insult to injury is that we're, paying for staff to police it when there's nobody there.
Just wanted to comment that historically, we have significantly more RSVPs than actually do attend. But I will say, if we did have everyone who RSVP'd showed up, we couldn't hold it in a smaller space. We would need to have the larger space. Now, but again, we don't see the actual attendance come through, but there were about, by the time everything was all said and done, about 150 RSVP'd for the remembrance, so that certainly wouldn't.
And then actual people was like 60?
50.
I would say less than that.
Oh, it seemed
Okay.
like 20.
It was really
No, it was
small.
more than 20, but, yeah, okay.
My best estimate's about 50, but that
Okay.
includes council.
Yeah.
And it's not illogical to surmise that there are probably fewer.
Right, right,
And
I agree.
Survey results indicate that as well, that of people who attended in 2024, those that plan to continue to attend, that number was half.
Okay.
So,
Okay, well, what are people's thoughts? I mean, you want to just say, remember on your own, and we'll keep everyone in our hearts? How do you want to proceed with this?
I mean, I feel there's a need to still remember. I don't know how.
We can
May-
do
may
something
not
at
through
the
a
council
ceremony.
meeting that precedes the 4th of July and have, a proclamation or some sort of remembrance moment.
Where will we be in the Remembrance Project by July?
Great question. I'm so
Because if we could tie it, huh?
We're still in planning.
Still planning.
Well, now we're in planning, but by
No,
July.
By
by
then.
July,
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
still
still
be
be in
planning.
planning.
But any,
No
anything?
construction, no.
No, but any selection, anything?
Yeah. No, we will have
I have
chosen
a
the
design firm and
firm.
likely through some of the public engagement by the design firm.
Right.
But we won't have started.
I wonder if we could just, whatever that wave is, or that that stream, if there's something that might dovetail.
The other thing is you could do some sort of like art project in the temporary memorial location. And then if anybody wants to show up for whatever that is, if it's more kindness rocks, or if people want to read a poem, we can just say, we'll be gathering in the Rose Garden for whoever wants to. Like without a program necessarily, but more like a friendship circle.
I don't think I would do a project like that.
Okay.
'Cause we just don't know how it's gonna hit people.
Right.
It might hit them well, like when we did the rocks and the kids,
Yeah.
that was wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's the way people want it.
What's interesting is that was all people who were not directly affected.
Yeah.
And so you've got
That's
that
right.
other ring out of community. Remember the designers that talked about the people directly affected, the first responders, the community.
Right.
Yeah, what I'm feeling in my gut, this is a gut, is, yeah, maybe it's time not to have the memorial service formal, but to not have anything, I feel it would just, and
I think we have
for
to
whatever
offer-
else we're gonna do, we don't know yet, but we're gonna do something. But to not do something that remembers, whatever it is,
Well, I think for sure at the meeting preceding, we will remember.
yeah.
There's
But
no
even at
question.
that 10 a.m., I don't know.
Yeah.
I like doing something maybe at the temporary location, but maybe a poem, I mean, or something.
Yeah,
or bring the
clergy
clergy,
and
yeah.
the
I mean, I
poet
like something like that,
laureates,
Yeah.
just, you know, to
Having
read
a moment,
Yeah.
and if
Just
you want
have
to
a
stop by,
moment.
but
Yeah.
then we're back to the security issue.
Yeah, if we're planning a program, our recommendation for the most enhanced security is to do it inside.
Okay, then let's do it here. I really, that's why, only because of security, and once we have a
But you've
permanent
got the
memorial,
conflict with the emergency operating center being here.
and they have to be in that room, they can't be in all the other rooms.
Well, we take the building, I mean,
You
we,
take the
yeah,
whole building.
yeah, I mean, because you don't want to be in,
You could do it at the library if they wanted to open for the 4th.
yeah.
I still don't want to let go of the idea of the fact that we're moving the direction of the remembrance, and we know where it's going to be. We'll be in the selection process. And could there be something even at that location where people could, you know, lay something down?
Well, people
It's bring-
always have that option,
Right, but-
regardless, personally.
Right, but kind of start moving into the direction of the new spot?
Yeah, the security issue is the issue.
But no
That's-
ceremony, it's just lay, you know, we could just encourage people to maybe start
To go
to
visit.
the new place and do whatever they want to do, art, flowers, stones, whatever, sit.
So we could do something during the council meeting, and then that announcement would be, and we encourage anybody who wishes to remember to stop by the temporary memorial.
And maybe, and offer a moment of silence.
But we're not doing anything, us having a moment of silence, like they can go be silent.
Well, what are
To
we
your
gonna do
point-
with the permanent memorial someday? Are we, I mean, wasn't the whole reason of having it here so that it was large enough?
To have a place for people to gather.
Yeah, I mean, once we
I
do
mean-
kind of the opening of it, yeah, we'll have an event, but that's gonna have intense security associated with
Every
it.
year?
Well, I mean, our thought is.
Well, we also are gonna
yeah.
have security at the location, like, you know, because of ongoing concerns about vandalism or whatever the case may be, there will be cameras, there will be security. Right now, it's just a rose garden with some roses in it, so.
What about moving your headquarters to the library and letting,
We need computers, we need, all the technology infrastructure is built in.
Don't mess around with their security.
Right,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Well, we've done 23, 24, 25. We've done 3 4th of Julys
Right,
now.
it will be more than 1,000 days.
And at some point, we're moving toward, you know, not doing that, I would assume, that at some
Right.
point, we're going, I mean, I feel like what I hear from community members, including Michael, is just like, we'd like a return to
Normalcy.
tradition and normalcy. And we've had 3 seasons to do that post-2022. I think that we have to be moving toward that. And I also think of I actually don't know what, I'm sorry to say, I think of the Boston Marathon, and I assume they just started running that again, right? They still do the Boston.
They've been doing it for a while.
For a while, right? You know, sometimes the best way to honor is to move forward and with some kind of normalcy.
Just another spitball thought. What if we asked the family members of the people who died to recommend an activity that would remember that person? Like, I keep thinking of Jackie and knitting for some reason. You know, it's like, if that's not too creepy or weird, if there's a way that the family wants them to be remembered through an act of service. I don't know.
We coordinate a whole act of service. I just.
No, it'd just be, this is recommended, or this is a suggestion, or this mattered to this person, and we keep their memory alive through this activity. You can do it however you wish. Who knows? I mean, maybe somebody loved dogs and you want to go drop blankets off at a rescue place. Or not. I mean, I know we want to do something to remember, but we're not wanting to do something as a remembrance. So it's sort of, where do we find this balance?
Well, I like the proclamation at the meeting.
For sure, we'll do a proclamation.
So I think that's good, and maybe we offer a moment and just tell people to stop by.
John?
It's just, it's highly personal.
Right.
I mean, I think that's where we're coming to.
Yeah.
Right, and it's very difficult for us to come up with a solution that works for everybody. We're
Right.
not going to.
Right.
But I think what the common thread here is that it's time to sort of start sunsetting, and we need to figure out some acknowledgement of this. We don't
It's a
exactly know what that
transition.
looks like.
It's a transition.
It's a transition.
Well, completely undecided.
We certainly
Not
could.
worrying.
We will continue. We've placed flowers every year. We can certainly continue to do that. And we've certainly discussed making sure we do a ramping up of communication, inviting individuals to remember in a way that feels appropriate to them and is meaningful to them. And we certainly could continue that
And people
communication.
do bring flowers,
Yeah.
just all on their
We
own.
could encourage people to bring flowers, and we could have maybe a table with the, the plastic candles you turn on underneath. And then they could just lay them at the temporary. We ask people if they want to stop by that day to just turn on a candle and put it down
Oh,
in
okay.
front.
I misunderstood, was like turning handles?
No,
turn a
turning
candle.
the candles on.
Yes, I was like,
So, Mayor, the thing about the meeting before, when would the meeting before be? Is this on the calendar?
like mid-June, because we usually just do one meeting in June.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks in advance.
So how does that feel? 2
Yeah,
weeks?
that doesn't feel.
It doesn't feel proximate enough.
No.
June 22nd.
Oh, right, well.
Could
so
we,
12
could we
days.
move that meeting to the 29th?
It's a nice idea.
Because that would put right at, that'd be in the week of.
That'd be the weekend.
That's actually early.
That could kind of kick off a little bit of, and it'd be a few days before the 4th of July and just kind of enough of a acknowledgement.
What day of the week is the 4th?
Saturday.
And the 29th is that Monday, right?
Yeah, the only thing is that is because we
long
only have
time
one
from
meeting
May.
in June.
So
Yeah,
there's a
so we
long
don't,
time.
we wouldn't have,
Any meetings in June?
The meeting on the 11th of May, and then,
Yeah, because then you have
where's the other one?
graduations and everything.
Do we only have one in May also?
I like
the
that
day
idea of the
after
29th.
Oh, the day after. Okay, so May 26th,
to June 29th.
and then to June 29th.
And we've talked about this, I mean, not real elaborate. but
I
something-
certainly like that better
Let's
for
do that.
proclamation.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, the proximity is really right.
Proximity is everything.
It's the week of.
Do you want to do that?
Sure, if that's okay.
Sure, I'll be
I-
there.
You know, we announced our calendar, and people have new plans, but that's fine.
That's
It's like
good.
9 months from now, so.
And maybe we just tell people or offer to them to stop by that day to pay their respects should they so choose.
Right.
To highlight that
Right.
it's still a
Oh.
temporary memorial.
Yeah.
Did you cancel the June 8th meeting?
We don't have one meeting in June.
We can reinstate, I'm concerned about that long
time in
gap.
between.
Just in terms of getting
The
business
warrant
of the
list.
city done.
We actually, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Although from
It's not that.
the
It's just a week
26th
later.
of May
To the
Yeah.
29th.
to the 29th,
Yeah, it's
we've
not-
done,
You have,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have,
Yeah.
you have. You
We
have.
can plan it if something comes up, you know.
okay. Okay, now the rest of this conversation.
Okay.
Well, we did good.
Yes, Michael?
Can I just add one thing? You were
Sure.
talking about our project or something, and I seem to recall at the last Remembrance ceremony that our project that you had after.
The mosaic.
Was really well received. I didn't get to stay because we were rushing to get to the parade.
Right.
But a lot of my cousins and everything else, and it seemed to be a lot of people that were there really partook in that. And I know they were trying to put that together, and I don't know what ultimately.
It's gonna end
happened.
up here
But,
on the,
you know, if you had mentioned something like that, it seemed to be that the people that were there last time enjoyed that and did it. So if you came up with something along the same type of lines of that,
right.
you know, maybe you would have people interested in that. I mean, I don't know.
I have one more though, since we're do the proclamation at the June meeting, is there something we can maybe set up, like outside of the meeting, to have people do
Could
like an
do-
art project or
Take a
something
rock
like
for a
that?
kindness rock addition
Yeah.
to the whatever.
Just to like tie it all together.
That's a good point.
Do it then instead of on the 4th.
No rocks maybe.
No, no.
That's good.
Yeah, that's
We could look at activity.
No, but
before
that
the meeting.
doesn't, that still doesn't take the place of something on the 4th for people who want to. You know, it's like people who go to the cemetery once a year when someone's passed.
Right,
They go on that date.
right.
And so, I mean, we don't.
That's why I feel like your suggestion of having a flower or a candle or
Candle,
something,
yeah.
people can do that.
That's lovely, right? Because, and then it's very subtle, because
Yeah.
it's not a program, but we do something meaningful and set it up, and then people that show up will have, oh, that was thoughtful of the city
Can take a
to give me something to
carnation,
do.
can take a
Right.
candle.
Those little candles that,
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
have a.
Every year at the
Yeah.
Holocaust Memorial
Yeah.
Lunch, you have
Yeah.
3,000 people
temple
flick a
lighting their
light
candles.
and light their candle and put it down.
Let me be really direct and say that I would expect the 7 of us to be there at
Yes.
10:15,
Yeah.
Yes.
10:14,
I
July
think we
4th,
will never,
Yeah.
ever again.
Yes.
Well, some of us.
right? Okay. Did you say you
No,
were saying?
that's good.
Okay.
So if I could just
But I do
make
like the
sure,
director's
so the,
opinions.
we're moving the meeting from 6:22 to 6:29. We'll have a proclamation at that meeting. We'll look at an activity prior to the meeting, optional for people. On July 4th, we'll encourage people to bring flowers or a candle, temporary place for more.
No, I think we should supply
We'll
the
provide
candles.
We'll provide that?
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
provide
we
that.
And then
Absolutely.
we'll all be
It should
on
just be
site at 10:14, but we're not gonna plan a,
No.
come meet us. We're not gonna say, come meet us. at
No,
10:14.
but
Yeah,
the 7
okay.
of us should try to be
We'll be
there
there.
together
Yeah.
at that time and place flowers
And-
as a group.
And we will invite the prior council members
Yeah, yeah,
who were there.
yeah. Yeah,
I
good,
mean-
good suggestion.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
And Gita, when you said prior to the meeting, the proclamation to have maybe an activity, would it be that evening?
That day, then,
Like
yeah,
he-
that.
Like here or something?
Correct, right.
Yeah, okay. I
Like, you
it.
know, where they have the agendas
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
come on, if you want to.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, are people comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Prior to the start.
you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now let's move on.
Next.
Let's talk about the night sky, everyone. So, we previously had fireworks, as you all know, up until the year of the shooting. We switched to the drone show in 2023. We paired a drone show with a community event in 2024. Last year, council, or actually I guess it was in January of this year, council determined not to have a drone show this year, but we were asked to look at fireworks again. So I wanted to at least bring back, as we talk about potentially bringing back an evening entertainment event, especially as the Park District has moved former Fourth Fest, now Independence Fest, to the evening of July 3rd. Again, keeping in mind we're trying to avoid an 18-hour day, we do ask that we not have, depending on where we land with parade and remembrance and whatnot, and we've already said no to remembrance for right now, but not to have us all on the 4th. Staff would recommend, first and foremost, talking about if you're interested in having drones or if you're interested in having fireworks. So these are just some of the comparisons between the two. These were all in the staff report. And there is a $50,000 budget, because of our current contract with the drone company, still in the budget for FY 2026, which could be applied towards fireworks as well. Fireworks shows, certainly longer than drone shows. come with a little bit more environmental impact, obviously. One thing we want you to consider, and I'm going to go to the next slide, which is considerations, is that there are a lot of other communities around us that do have fireworks shows. We still hear from a lot of our community members that it can be re-traumatizing to hear the fireworks, as so many people thought it was fireworks when the shooting started. So that's some things to consider. But again, there are advantages to it. And the survey response, and it was a low survey respondent rate, it was I think only 129 people to our community survey. But of that group who did respond, 70% were in favor of having fireworks come back. And the Park District is open to partnering with us, again, on this event. So we would flow and have economies of scale going with their concert and Independence Fest right into fireworks. John?
Were the people who were surveyed, do we know what portion of those were actually there on July 4th of 2022?
They did not answer that question, but we asked if you were a resident, if you were at, we did ask as a general, or did you normally attend in 2022 or whatnot. We got more for people who were closer, like the last few years, have you attended since the shooting, that people responded to that. Some people just didn't, that was kind of a blank question for us.
What was the approximate,
it was a pretty good,
people who have said, yeah, they typically go?
majority of survey respondents attend our Independence Day activities. Annette?
Well, no surprise here, because I love the idea for the drones the first year. It's just too expensive. I know we have a good rate. I've heard since last year that people complaining that the one thing they want back are fireworks.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
I think July,
say that again?
that they want
Fireworks to come back. Yeah.
July 3rd, look, first of all, I loved in your memo when you all asked, do we want a date certain? You know, the Park District's our partner. If they want to do their really successful, great event, the afternoon of the 3rd.
Right.
I think we do fireworks on the 3rd that night, so they have an afternoon, evening event for people.
Yeah.
And then on the 4th, it's, you know, a subtle little nothing in the morning and a parade.
Yeah.
That's what we go.
I love the idea of the fireworks coming back.
I think fireworks on the 4th. On the 3rd,
Okay.
sorry.
Where are the fireworks though?
Over the preserve.
It'll be over the
Preserve.
preserve. Okay.
And I love back, yeah.
You know, I'm in the minority here. I don't like them. They trigger me, but
Okay.
I understand if the community wants them back, then the community wants them back.
They trigger me, I'm not gonna lie. No, seriously, but I think that what I hear from everybody is they really
Bring it
want.
back. Yeah.
So, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, and the number, I mean, with all respect to you, John, and others who really, it's a real thing. You know, those are, I mean, I know that's a limited sample, but anecdotally, it's reflected.
Yeah.
That's a very large number.
Yeah.
And as we talk about, one of the ways to bring through healing, not for everybody, for a lot of people, is to kind of go back to what was lost and taken away. And I think fireworks would be kind of symbolic and celebratory in that way for most people, right? So for that reason, I would favor it. I think we have to give advance notice
For sure.
so people can make choices, right?
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Town, whatever, but they're gonna get them in Deerfield, they're gonna get them in Glencoe, Lakeshore Country Club, all of these places,
That's a good
up and
point.
down.
They're all over the
Yeah.
place. You're hearing them anyway. You're hearing them in your backyard.
Literally.
Yeah, if I could just
I mean, from my backyard, I can hear other, yeah.
Yeah, and I would add then, the partnering with the Park District, that's, it's not just fireworks, it's like the Independence
Yeah.
Fest,
Yeah.
the musical concert, and then ending up fireworks that kind of is very climatic as we
Right.
used to. I think that's.
I don't know if they're gonna do food trucks or whatever again, but the whole thing is to
Yeah.
really give them a whole day.
Yeah, the fest was great. I mean, it was very well
It was
attended.
great.
The
Yeah.
families
That's awesome.
and it was
It's
great, yeah.
tradition.
Yeah.
I mean, that fireworks, you know,
It's
it's worth it.
Michael?
Yeah.
I think bringing the fireworks back is great. And I mean, I get the idea of it, you know, triggering or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I will tell you, I thought it was fireworks when it was happening. But the only thing I guess I disagree with is because I'm so into the tradition, I don't like the 3rd. And I don't like the idea that, you know, look, I get it's hard for staffing purposes and whatever, of having a long day. But I think it really hurts the attendance for the parade, breaking things up. I love the tradition, you know, this was my family tradition, we go to the parade, we go to Walker Brothers, I hike down to Sunset Park, And the whole movement of everything moving from downtown through the traditional parade route, ending at Sunset Park and having this Fourth Fest or whatever they called it, everybody went and did those things. And even as my kids got older, we'd still go just to go walk around, not that they were going on the kiddie rides. So
Right.
by separating it, I think it hurts the attendance at the parade.
And what's interesting, though, is the Park District has said, we're doing it on the 3rd.
Right.
So, yeah.
No, I get it. I just, I think it.
But let's at least build on the momentum of the or the 3rd Fest, or the Independence Fest, or whatever we're calling it. And then this year, it's going to be the 250th birthday of the country, so I don't know, how we incorporate all that.
Selfishly, and speaking for my family, we're not going on the 3rd. Just to put it out there, not that means anything.
Interesting.
But it was the tradition of why I kept doing it,
You had your routine.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're not looking for a new routine, so. We're too old.
When did the Park District do it last year? Was it the 3rd?
The 3rd.
It was the 3rd.
And part of it
And it
is
was
that whole long
incredibly
day for
successful.
staffing that starts before
And
dawn.
it was a
and
nice
goes to-
event. I mean, we went, we came and saw, and it was really nice. I can't knock it in any way, other than I wish it was.
On the 4th.
Right.
All right. We'll give you your own personal calendar. To tell you this.
And we did ask the Park District, so if there was an interest in fireworks or drone, then they would make their event longer, just to tie it to the nighttime.
Yeah,
and
the
then-
food trucks, feed
Yeah,
them and everything.
okay.
That's great.
All right.
So following up on that, because we're all talking about the 3rd, but the Park District is also open to having a date certain event. So this year, the 3rd will be a Friday, but in future years, do you want to look at, we do an event, everything for 4th of July is like the Saturday before the 4th or something like that, it's a consideration.
I think that is a killer.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think that's a really bad idea.
I think you do it on the 3rd, and it's kind of our own thing, out of respect for what happened on the 4th.
Right.
We're celebrating on the 3rd, and we'll see what we're doing on the parade, but I don't know, this just sort of feels.
Can we advertise better? I guess I feel like there were people who just.
There are always, I
missed-
live with a guy who has no idea what's happening.
Yeah,
I'm like,
Andres, after the parade, you said, "Where's the fest?" And we said it was yesterday.
I was all geared up, man.
I forgot also. I was ready to go, and I missed it.
We should turn the corner, right?
Right, and I was like,
where's the music?
I'm just saying, he can't be alone. This is a council member.
This is the music, the day the music died felt to me like, don't they stop?
We can encourage them to have the signs on the property.
And we can have banners, join us for 3rd Fest or Independence Fest.
And maybe the Park
Yeah.
District can advertise to, I don't know.
Yeah, it was on social media. I mean, everyone, our kids, our generation, they were all there with the kids on the 3rd and all knew about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I went, so I know.
I got high
Yeah.
attendance.
Yeah.
That was a really good event.
Yeah.
So if we can piggyback that for fireworks, I think that'll
I
be
think that's a
great.
great idea.
Okay, does that get you through the 3rd?
Yes,
So what
yes.
more do you need from us? Okay.
Okay, so now this is a 4-part, so if you, let me get through the 4 parts and then we'll come back to it. So this is regarding the parade. As you saw in the report, the attendance is so low, it doesn't even register on Placer AI. So that means there was under 900 people within the footprint of the parade.
Wow.
So that's year over year since. So some considerations. Do you want to continue to have a parade on July 4th? Do you want to continue to have an Independence Day parade on a different day? I heard you just say in the last question, no, for days certain, but we'll continue on that. Do you want to pause the parade? Is there consideration of pausing until we're a little bit further out? And then another option, do we want to just move a community parade to pair with a different event or holiday? So I'm going to go through all these quickly for you. So in terms of continuing the parade in 2026 on July 4th, advantages, obviously, this is tradition, right? Rebecca said, this is tradition, this is what your families are looking for, this is what the community is looking for. The public perception is resiliency if we continue to have a parade on the 4th. And our survey results, again, show 75% of the survey takers said keep a parade on July 4th. Again, this is all people who've attended the last few years. That being said, 58% out of that 75 said that they would attend again. So again, dwindling numbers. 23% 23% said they wouldn't attend, and 20% said they will not attend future parades at all. So that's just something to keep in mind. And the considerations, again, parade is still challenging for a lot of residents. We do hear that. Attendance under 900, as I already mentioned. Feedback from the entertainment. So big feedback in both the survey, and we've heard from council members and community members anecdotally. People are like, where's the entertainment? Where's the participation in the parade? Where are the entries? We have heard back between City Manager Newkirk, Jennifer Dotson, myself, Amanda Bennett, and the staff of the Park District, who has traditionally hired our paid entertainment for the parade. We called other municipalities for their parade lists. We went deep on entertainment groups that we know, and we were struggling to get anyone who wanted to participate in our parade at this time.
And are we paying them?
We pay for entertainment to be in the parade.
And they
Well, the
still,
Park District,
they
yeah.
still
The Park
don't want
District does,
to
correct.
get paid by us?
Correct.
They're just freaked by the parade, or?
We've been told by some that the idea right now is they'd rather focus elsewhere and wait a few years to feel more comfortable coming back to Highland.
I say you get Noah Plotkin to find you bands that are gonna march in the parade. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious.
It's one thing to play standing.
Yeah.
Having been a marching band
But walking.
mom, that's a totally
The,
different story.
Dr. Mark and the Sutures were on a moving.
Don't even bring up his name.
No, I'm just
He is
saying-
not welcome in this.
Can I
All right,
just
all right,
say, he was
Annette.
on a moving flatbed, and I'm just saying that you can play.
Right, but do you want a parade of moving flatbeds? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, we tried to get people to decorate floats last year. How much easier can it be than wear your favorite team's jersey, and nobody did that even? What were you gonna say?
Well, so it'll be 1 year after the one this year, right? So every year that passes, so there's a recency issue here, or no, not the opposite of recency. What's the opposite of recency?
Distance.
A distance. Right? So we know it won't be as bad or as whatever, right? It's a little less traumatizing. So whether it's for the performers or for the participants, so I would not judge it fully by the reaction of this year, because it'll be a year later. And I think that makes a big difference. I think if you think about where we're going with the other decisions we just made, we're trying to restore. We're trying to put some things back. So if we do fireworks and we do this other thing, and then we have no parade, it's kind of like we...
Oh my God.
It doesn't make sense. It's like, if we're going to embrace the return to what we lost and some normalcy and stuff like that, you can't kind of do it halfway.
Maybe we call it the 250 tradition, and we try and bring back the tradition of the parade and the fireworks.
And it's a
For
20...
raising his hand.
Yeah.
Well said. Can't disagree. I know I've said this to a couple of people in this room, including Michael. And you know, with all due respect to individuals who feel connected to that history of the parade and wanting to go back, there is a portion of this population of our community who never wants to ever go to a parade ever again, whether it's Highland Park or in Chicago, and you name the city. I'm one of those people, and I know that I'm not the only one. And so I would just challenge us to think outside the box a little bit, to redefine what our main event is. Maybe we end up there, but, you know, in the spirit of trying to come out stronger than we were on, you know, from 2022, I'd love us to think outside the box a little bit on creating our own signature event on the 4th that is different than our neighboring communities.
Different than what?
Than our neighboring communities.
Everybody in a swimsuit? I don't know.
I don't know if it's a concert. I don't know if it's.
Right, well, so that's
You
the
know.
the third fest. You know, so I've talked to so many other communities around this area. Some do no parade. They're like, we go to the other community, we're done with the parade. We had sparse people showing up without any of this. And they were like, it's just not worth it. Others do like Lake Forest Day or Vernon Hills Day. Like, they celebrate their community on a totally different day, and then they have like a carnival. Highwood doesn't have a 4th of July parade, but they have Highwood Days.
Yep.
And so you know, for those 3 or 4 days, you're just celebrating in downtown Highwood. Again, I don't know what the answer is. I gotta tell you, that was like a very sad experience walking in that parade last year. And then this lady came up to me and she was like, why did our parade suck? And I was like, were you here 3 years ago? Like, are you kidding me? I mean, so there's a lot of emotion around it, but the staff is just working so hard to try to get something. And when you talk to people, the highlight is the kid and dog and bike portion.
Yeah.
But we only had one kid with a bike and then one dog.
Well, let me tell you why. I mean, you know,
Obviously,
like,
right, so-
we were in it.
Yeah.
And then minutes later, what happened? So
Right.
we're never doing that again.
Exactly.
I mean, right?
Exactly. I understand. Yeah.
Just going to remind us that we were marching so fast
Yes.
that we were our
It was
own
really
parade.
bad.
Oh, that was
And-
insane.
It was
and
bad.
we were all by ourselves. Councilmember Lidauer and I happened to walk back that direction.
I did
and it
as
was
well.
Incredibly lively and, full of people. We were
Right.
just,
Right.
we just got
We just were
separated.
racing after the fire engine like we
So,
were
I
on the
mean,
We were not well choreographed.
We'll have a pacer.
Walking back.
We
Yeah.
had to have a pacer.
I mean, one of the things we could,
Marissa.
So I will say, so I appreciate what you said, John. I mean, we were also there right by Walker Brothers. But, making the new memories, at least for our family, I think the parade, I mean, they love, the boys love going to the parade now, and I think that's something, just continue that tradition. And maybe bring people, more people back. Last year was also, I'm not gonna make excuses, but the weather wasn't great. I feel
Right.
like 2 years ago, there were more people out.
It felt like it.
And I think also people with the new route were like
yeah.
making comments about, oh, I don't know if this is the best route, why can't, and then I've heard from people saying we could go back to the old route, or people were just confused as to where the parade was actually going. So I would be in favor of still continuing the parade, so.
Andres and then.
A couple things. One, and let's remind ourselves that it's the 250th anniversary of the United States. So there's a sort of a national flow there.
Right.
That might give sort of a national lift to this, right? So that's one thing. And it'd be, again, weird to not have a parade when the nation is sort of celebrating 250th. So that's one thing.
Right.
The other, that I didn't know if I heard you say it or in the report, but are we talking about going to downtown if we have the parade?
I don't think so.
I got a couple questions.
About the route.
That's still open,
Yeah,
right?
there's a
Okay,
conversation.
so I'll leave it
Talk
there. But
Okay.
anyway, the 250 years, I think we can ride that wave too.
Like a birthday party parade.
Yeah.
Mayor, just because everyone's starting to talk about different thoughts and ideas, can I just go through the next?
You bet.
The couple that have to do with parade?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I just do want to point out, we were low on entrance, just general entrance, non-paid entertainment to going into 2022. And we are continuing to be low just in general to get community members, 36 and 37 entries. That includes you, Public Works, Police, and Fire. So just want to keep that in mind too.
I have a suggestion on that line though. We really have amazing, our ABCs, our commissions and our boards. These people give a lot of time. And a lot of times they don't want to get off when their 2-year term is up or their 4-year term is up. I think it would be really a nice idea to either have them marching or have them, I would do an ABC parade and have every commission and every board member with their group invited to march behind the city council.
Hey, that's a great idea.
That's great.
And
Yeah.
that would give you, that's 19 groups,
Yeah.
right there.
And-
And even though there's 5 people, we could have a little sign that they carry. I would do color, like it's Plan and Design Commission, they can be told a building. If it's sustainability, they have to dress in green. I mean, I would do
That's
cutesy
a
things,
great
but it's
idea.
all about the city.
And
Yeah.
maybe it's a point of pride that they would bring their families with them.
Yes,
and you could-
they could march with their families, but I would first hold it out to just members, because I really want to honor them. I
Yeah,
think,
that's
when I see
great.
the kind of time these people put in,
Right.
let's invite them to be in the parade right behind us, in alphabetical order. Okay.
Okay, so the second bullet point under number 4 was continuing the parade in 2026 on a date other than July 4th. I feel like you've all kind of talked about disinterest in that at this point in time, so I'm just going to skip past this one.
Thank you.
The third bullet point under parade considerations is considering pausing the parade if you wanted to stop the parade until a time certain.
I don't hear that either.
No.
And then last, this speaks to what Councilmember Center mentioned, shifting the community parade to pair with a different holiday event, or Mayor, as you mentioned, like Lake Forest Days, Buffalo Grove Days, things of that nature, or having some other kind of tie-in at some other point. So that's, again, that's a trauma-informed way to bring back the community parade. It also has the potential for new energy and new focus, and could attract additional entrants, bring back previous entertainers, et cetera, and the community to think about that for us. So those are the 4 things: July 4th, Independence theme on an alternate date, pause parade, or pair with a different event or holiday.
Let's take a moment. We used to march in the Memorial Day Parade, going in a different direction from the 4th of July. Okay, so what do you want to say?
Yes to parade this 4th of July,
Yes to parade on the
2026.
4th of July? I know what John's answer is. Michael, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are definitely on the 4th. And in response to what you were saying about you know, the flip side, there's like my daughter, for example, who really wants no interest in going to a parade. But for her own mental health, she insists on coming back to this because she feels like it's how you
Exposure
get
therapy.
over- Yeah,
Yeah.
how you get over something like this. And so it definitely works both ways, and there's no right answer for anybody. And the one thing I would say, since, you know, like I mentioned before, tradition is so important to me, I like the original route, but now that it seems attendance is an issue, having people in the parade, things got so spread out, and there were some moments of just a lull in the parade. Maybe the thought process is, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, changing the route to shorten the route. Because if there's
Then
nothing
you have the
happening at
condensed
Sunset-
audience.
Right, so if you're not going to Sunset Park to celebrate something afterwards there, why are we taking, for security purposes, and which, by the way, I've never seen security like we had at this parade. It's unbelievable. I mean, anybody that pays attention to that, and you go to other events, you're like, oh my God, I don't feel safe here. I'm saying that about the art fair and anything else, because I don't feel the rent-a-cops or no offense, but the people that are there, the anti-frame people, the rent-a-security, whatever, they're gonna run as fast away from something where people like her and all the other officers who were working ran towards the issue. I just don't see that happening. So my thought would be condensing it, making it shorter, where you have more people, where it
More
looks
dense.
more crowded. And why not do it around downtown, have it start where you
St.
normally
John's
start?
and Central and then to Central
Well,
and Green Bay.
Right, start where you're going.
No, St. John's.
To Central.
And Central.
Central to Green Bay, Green
Right.
Bay down Laurel, back to the original station.
No, I'm just saying
Oh.
Green Bay.
So if you're comfortable with an alternate site plan, if it's okay, let our staff team just take a look at it, because we'll look at it through many different lenses, and then we can come back to you with a recommendation.
Yeah. Well, I'll just put my opinion on the table. I think it's a time to really think about going right to the heart of it. And again, it might be too soon, but again, I just going with my feelings here. Again, if our seeming readiness is to sort of start the fireworks, do the parade, right, tie it into the park district and have, you know, all this, then why not? Why not go to the center, right? Because I think that would sort of, that would be kind of, that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to pull it together. And I think that's part of the healing process, right? If we do all this and still not go to the center, you know, it just feels like we didn't kind of get to the purpose of a healing. I think we're feeling that this is a moment where we are able to maybe, now I'll never say put it behind us, I won't say that, but kind of start looking ahead.
Moving the journey forward.
Moving the journey forward. And if we don't go to the middle, we're not moving
avoiding
forward.
it,
We're avoiding it.
Yeah. Well, you know, everybody talks about the catharsis that they experienced the following year when they walked through that intersection.
We felt
We literally
And
physically
then,
felt
and then
it.
we left it.
Yeah, and then we walked away, right?
John Center.
Yeah, let me just sort of share that. I don't, the comments I made earlier are not intended to project my own personal opinions for you guys or for the community at large. They're meant to educate us all that, and inform us that there are people who are not going to go to this parade.
Yeah.
We don't know what the quantity of that people is, but I think let's understand that if we're gonna go forward with this, and we come back in the same spot here next year, and there's still only 900 people that came to the parade, that might be telling us something.
Right.
Well, that was
Yep.
actually, that's what my comment was gonna be. I really think that we should look, reevaluate like we always do. And, you know, if we see that it's been dwindling, and by 2027, we will
5
have
years.
a memorial up.
Right.
And so then we have either an end spot or a beginning spot or no parade. But we'll be done
Yeah.
in the sense of having built it. But this year, we don't have that yet for 26. So I feel really strongly we should have a parade and, I don't want to say conquer, but take it back on the traditional route. And maybe we go City Hall up and then just end at Green Bay and Central and not go down the hill since there's no events down there anyhow. So you have a more consolidated area.
Aaron, and then,
Thanks. Can I just ask, I'm just still looking, are we saying July 4th? Because there's
Yes.
a whole piece
Yes.
about the parade route. There's some things we'd like to share about that before. we
right, so
return.
July 4th sounds like a yes. Yes, Andres?
Yeah, actually, John and I talked about this as we were getting ready. And, you know, as someone who likes innovation and thinks that when it's time to rethink it, I really, you know, leaned into that as a conceptually, right? But I felt that if we don't do this attempt, if you will, to pull it all together and see what it feels like. And let's say if we find out it didn't pay off or it didn't happen,
Right.
right? Then I would feel maybe
Then you've
city
got the
afraid
data to
to
make
go,
the
wait, you know what, we gotta
Yeah.
rethink this. But if we don't go through it, we won't know the answer.
Okay, thank you.
Yes to 4th of July.
All right, Aaron's got more to discuss if you say yes.
So
to
right
the
before we
Fourth of
talk about
July.
parade route, I promise it's next, but first timing. So in 2024, the parade was at 1 PM. This year we moved it to 11 AM. Deerfield's parade is at noon. Is it Mundelein? No. Glencoe is at 1, and Tower Lakes, Winnetka and Lake Bluff are at 10 AM. So those are ones that are in proximity where maybe able to catch some of their parade entrance. That does help us in those regards, especially in terms of Deerfield. We did hear from a lot of entrants who used to do both of our parades, who said it's too tight a timeline for them to get from our parade, even though our parade
Deerfield.
goes fast.
Right.
It's too hard for them to get in line up for
Right.
in Deerfield. Now, over the past few years, out of deference obviously for the remembrance ceremony, that's why we've done the timing as we've done. And I know you've said as a council you want to meet in the temporary place of remembrance at 10:14. Staff would like us to at least consider a parade start time of 10:30, if you think that
Can
gives
we
you
do
enough time.
10:45?
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
A little more
How
space.
long does it take?
The whole parade?
Yeah.
The parade route is 1.1 miles.
Well, that's if we go
Which
down
is
to
a reduced-
Sunset Park. If we don't go down to Sunset
So
Park.
if we literally do a 4-block
So
parade.
it's actually not, it's, yes, this is the current parade route. This is the
Yeah.
new parade route. So this is like the last year timeline on it.
What time did
So-
it finish last year? I'm sorry.
30.
30 minutes, okay. So
And that was with the sprint at the beginning.
can it go earlier or is it too early?
Well, there's
Well,
consideration
we
if you
want to
want to
be,
be.
we
Well,
want
can
to
you
be.
end? Can you end before 10:14?
No,
No.
no, you're not going
That's
to get
the
anybody to
moment
show
of
up.
silence.
Your people might get up at 6 in the morning. My people are just going to bed at 6:30 in the morning. So, yeah, I
Okay.
think we need to be a little realistic.
Okay, so this is, I'm gonna have to slide
I
back.
mean, in theory, we could do 10:30. In theory.
I think if you're 10:14, you're reflecting, I think
Right.
it's a quick turnaround to be like, now we're stepping off.
Yeah, and people don't just go, I mean, some people go to be alone, others are there to be with other people. And so I
Yeah.
think if we're there and we gather, there's gonna be a little bit of,
Being together.
to be together. I don't wanna rush.
I like it being off at 10:45. I think that's kind of weird, but
Yeah.
And I will say, we came up with 10:30 as thinking of if you were at a remembrance ceremony, that still gave you time to get here because.
Well, that's
you
why-
were on
that's
site
why I
by
say
this time.
from the parade,
You were on site by this time.
So I think if we're next door, or whichever direction we're going, at 10:14, I think 10:45 is a reasonable time for people to be there and then, yeah.
And also, it's, that waiting time is kinda nice, once everybody's kinda
Everybody's
gathering.
visiting.
Oh, yeah, that was the
You're
most
visiting,
fun.
yeah,
The
it's-
Navy playing, that was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
That's
so-
actually one of the reasons it was so, now, it was just, we were all so happy.
Right,
Yeah.
right. 10:45.
All right, I promise there's only two more considerations.
Can you
One,
just tell me what time are we starting?
10:45.
That's a parade, but you gotta be at the moment.
You gotta be at the
You're
temporary
gonna be
memorial.
there early.
I'm gonna say at 10 o'clock.
Yes, 10 o'clock, you gotta be there.
We want to be there to greet people.
And I'm gonna call
And,
remind
right,
you.
and if nobody comes,
Actually,
then
you're
so be
early,
it, but yeah.
And I was on time, actually, I just arrived at the time.
I know you did.
Okay.
all right, so I just want to show you, again, these are the route considerations that went into designing the new route. Staff, I couldn't say highly enough before, recommends that if we continue to do a parade, which we've determined we're going to, that we continue on the new route. A, to give people, again, just like we talked about with the Port Clinton concerts, time for people to adapt and change and be accepting of it. But one of the biggest reasons why this route, while still connects to the downtown, helps us limit security risks, both along the route and during the evening entertainment. So it is something we just want to keep in mind, that this route really does. There was a lot of thought, as you may recall, for those of you who were on the council when we first talked about an alternate route a few years ago. We looked at a whole bunch of different places, including the residential neighborhoods.
Yeah.
This is highly requested by staff that you consider continuing on this route. And I just want to put, again, some of those considerations, the advantages and considerations. Considerations, obviously, there is some perception in the community by changing the route that we're letting the bad guy win.
Right.
That's out there. And then it doesn't showcase the CBD as well as we would like it to, obviously. But this is a shorter route, but that's not why we picked it, right? The considerations are all the reasons why we picked it. But it does follow best practices. It does meet the site criteria. It maintains the connectivity to the CBD, as I mentioned. It limits exposure to re-traumatization. So for those who are coming back, we have heard that feedback. And it also limits the opportunity for copycat demonstrations. So that is just something, and if I know DC Olson is nodding along with me, I know Chief Jobman very strongly feels this way, and the planning committee feels very strongly about it on the staff side of things. So just something I would like to bring up.
Annette.
So I think all of those things are completely valid, and for the last 3 years, I followed them to the letter because I truly respect you guys for your professional research and the work you've done in other communities. The only thing I hear from people, other than they want fireworks, is they want the old route back. It's the first and foremost thing. They don't want a parade without the old route.
Yeah.
And last year, I stood up to every one of them and I said, you guys, this is really what best practices would advise us to do. It is so close, it's right on Laurel, it's a blockway. That's not what people want.
You show them this slide?
Yeah,
I literally went through every argument with them on the same thing, and they said, our parade has not come back until it's on the same route. I don't agree with that. Listen, John.
Did they come to the parade?
No, and a lot of people were really disappointed and they're kind of squealing around. Some people, I hate to say it, they were like Andres, they were lost, they didn't know where the parade was. And I'm sorry. But no, it really, I think that from a rational standpoint, I still agree with you guys. But as we get a year further away, that's what I'm hearing from people. I have to express that in the same way as you need to say that younger families or other families don't want to even go to a parade. Everybody I know who's traumatized by this is not going, period.
Right.
So those that are coming want to be at our parade.
Yeah, and I want to offer that we should think also about the bigger picture. We are, set aside the 4th of July, we are investing a lot in Port Clinton to make it the
We're
center of the
having all
city.
kinds of events, right?
You know, and we're investing in it, we're going to put green playground, whatever, you know, we want to really revitalize that. And then to not go through that for the 4th of July parade is like, it's contradictory. Not minimizing any of this, but I think the point is that for those that it's too difficult, they're not going to come, whether we go around it or through it. And for those that want to find a way to, that for them, their healing is to go back and through it, we have to offer the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to echo all of that, and I think we do all want to, respect your feelings. I think about, and I'm thinking to myself, I probably shouldn't repeat this, but because I have shared with you that I was marching with the League of Women Voters. We were just a block away, we were at the First Bank of Highland Park, crossed over the west on the train tracks. When it started, and it was, you know, we heard it very clearly because we were so close to it. And I know there were people obviously much closer than us. Going through, it was an incredibly traumatic event. I remember making myself drive down Central Avenue again and feeling like, can I do that? Can I do that? And I did it, and I guess I want to share that personal experience, that it felt cathartic, or cathartic, like I crossed over a hump to just even walk and drive down Central Avenue again. And just reclaiming it, I feel that is a really important thing to do. And that's what I wanted to share, that I think it's important to do. I agree with what's been said.
Yeah, and actually you articulated, I think, I was talking a little bit third person, like people want to, I want to, and which is what you're saying, right? Like when we went to the threshold that very first time, something happened, and that was part of the healing process, right? And now, and I understand, up to the first 3 years, we went around fine, but I always felt like, like I'm kind of walking away from the place that, for me personally, I want to go through and say, we're doing it, and we did it, and we're moving on, right? So far, we've been sensitive to those who don't want to be there, but I want to also talk on behalf of those that want to be there, and for them, for me, my process is to walk through it, and I want that opportunity.
I agree that it should be back. I mean, our events are back there, Taste of Hammond Park and some of those other events and like by Port Clinton, so I think we should bring the parade back there as well.
You know, it's interesting, during the art show, I ran into you and Bruce and Liz Turnipseed, and we all stood at that intersection and talked, and I don't even remember what we talked about, because I was marveling over talking to each of you in that location. It was so moving to me that we were on a sunny day just standing at that intersection. So I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Councilman Ross, what you just said, I really appreciate that. I remember the days after, I could not look at Central Avenue without crying. So it took a long time to just be able to walk down that street.
Oh, yeah.
And everything you guys are saying with respect to people who are gonna go, I totally appreciate and agree with all of that. My only concern would be.
The police are saying, don't do
what the
that.
police are saying. And so I just, this is probably a discussion that's going to continue, but let's just make sure we all get comfortable that the city staff feel like it's and the police, that it's executable.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm going back again to the awful Boston Marathon. Did they just completely reroute that marathon?
Maybe if it's okay, Mayor, we could have a conversation about security in closed session, because we do want to share with you important information, and then I think that may help you kind of formulate your policy discussion, if that's all right.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then I know that we're gonna do that, and I know we gotta look at options, but it sounds like there's an inclination by the majority to go through.
To go through the intersection.
Just a thought, if we end up at Green Bay, it seems like way too short.
Right.
Maybe we need to go around and come back or something.
Yeah.
Right? Just to make it a little bit more.
More than
4 blocks, you're right.
10 minutes, yeah.
Michael?
That's what I was gonna say, was if the staging is over by here, going around Green Bay and come back here. That way, for those that want to come to the parade but aren't necessarily ready to sit in downtown where it happened, you're giving them an alternative.
Another place to walk.
Another street,
For me, I get the idea, like what you were saying, that it's taking time, great, let's get back there. That's where I'm at. I was getting to the point, if we don't ever get back there, I've lost the tradition, I'm not coming.
Right,
You know, so there are some that, right, so, I mean, we're all at different places.
We are.
You've seen me sitting at this location.
I have.
Which I do.
And I've walked other people down that area to help them breathe through getting down that street. So, all right.
Okay, very last thing I promise.
Yes, ma'am.
America 250.
Indeed.
250 years of the Declaration of Independence next year. We'd like to incorporate this as our theme for next year, as well as incorporate it into other events where appropriate.
Love it.
If you're on
I
board
think
with
our
this.
theme is we want 250 people in this parade.
But we would like to also do a formal resolution at the October 6th meeting, just so you're aware ahead of time, in partnership with the Illinois Municipal League and the Illinois America 250 Commission. As part of the broader goal, we participate in their time capsule and formally would be part of their events.
Do we get a special flag to fly?
They do have a merch shop, Mayor, and you know I like that, so we'll find something.
Okay. Steve's like Nancy. We said state and federal.
No, but seriously, to be able to hand out to everyone walking.
Oh my God. Thanks so much, Erin. A lot of thought.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Great
With that, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into closed session for the following purposes. Purchase or lease of property, setting a price to sell or lease property, potential litigation, pending litigation. This is all pursuant to 5 ILCS 122C sub 5, sub 6, and sub 11. I'm seeking that motion. I'm seeking that
Motion to go into
To do
closed
that.
session.
Yeah, second.
Thank you. We need to call the vote.
Roll call vote, roll
Yep.
call vote.
I'll call the vote. Councilmember Brockman.
Aye.
Councilmember Sedgwick.
Aye.
Councilmember Littleworth.
Aye.
Councilmember Ross.
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Mayor, yes. Okay, now if those.